Hey, what is up? Oh, just a little quick update video. Just got myself in another one of those couple steps forward, but now a big strong step back. At least for a few days till a new part comes in. But anyway, I've been working on this on and off over last week or so, and I had the brushless DC motor still hooked up. Here's a little video I took the other day of it spinning on my new little board I had. Right there, I was working. I had this little surface mount microprocessor I made on this board. Of course, I took all these parts off because I fried it. And what happened was I had a mess. I mean, this is a mess, but I was starting to clean it up. And I think maybe the high voltage, I don't know, I had it turned on and I was pulling, that's what I was doing. I was pulling all my scope leads out. I wanted the 3 to go over here and clamp on to the motor, and they were all hooked up through here and they were all tangled. And when I was pulling on stuff, I think I got the higher voltage, which this is set for 50, to touch something down there. So it fried this microprocessor on this. So that board doomed. And then it seemingly, I guess it fried my pit kit, this little generic 3.5 I bought off the internet. This one's been working so good. It's actually the only one that's lasted me. The other generics I've bought were so sensitive that anything wrong they would fry, but this one's lasted me like a year maybe. It's been a while. But I went ahead, before I should have confirmed whether this was working or not on one of my other working boards, but I went ahead and made a new board today, just for another, one of my homemade demo boards. It's got the processor and oscillator, and I laid out everything a little better than the other ones that I was doing, which, I've made a couple of these now. With and you can see these two are pretty identical. I think one's an 877, one's an 887 though. But this one I got laid out a little better. Also, the other little thing I did was I finally figured out how to do the serial LCD. This is 4-bit parallel mode like I've been doing, which is the simplest as far as setting up. But then I've been buying these real cheap, where they come with the little I2C serial adapter boards. I usually don't use them. If you have to solder them on, I've just been using them for the cheap LCDs and hooking it up 4-bit parallel. But finally, I messed with the code. Found good code from this one guy that made pretty good the regular LCD code I like. Actually, real logical, because when I looked on the internet, there's a lot of people making code, and some of them have some not very logical function names, and just the way they did it was very bloated as well. But this one guy's code was pretty good. And then I threw in the I2C one, and actually the first time I hooked it up, it just worked, which was a shock, because usually you got to figure out what address it was, and I was going to change it, but the address he had in there was the right one for this chip, and for having all the address pins unshorted. So that it just worked. And I think I have a video of that up there working. Fast forward a little bit. There's a little board I made, But yeah, there's that. And there's another one I was just kind of showing. Was slamming some of them together, but it worked just fine. And so I was still just working on the zero crossing stuff. I was kind of getting it to work. Actually, I was using some optical isolators. I was kind of getting it to do the zero cross pretty well, but I was actually going from positive to negative and not really thinking about also how to get it to trigger when it goes negative to positive. So that's the reason I was moving all my scope leads over to here. I was trying to just go back to the basics, reading the waveforms coming out of the motor. And when I pulled my probes through, I freaking shorted something, and it took out a board, a programmer, and who knows what else. So that sucks. So yep, so I just ordered one of these. It said it'll be here in a couple days, and hopefully it's a good generic one like that one's been. And these wires are starting to come off, but it is pretty nice. Obviously this is going to be way more robust as well, the way I kind of do this. So now if I make all my boards with the same 4-pin header that has, 4-pin header here, you know, keep it the same, then it's going to definitely clean up that. And this is also cool because now with just 4 wires, I can, and making little ribbon cables, or we're going to call like this, you know, now I'll be able to like run a cable to something, you know, maybe even several feet away, and mount my LCD in a different section as something I made, or controller or whatever. So it's another one I was getting ready to solder together. Just bought a bunch of these. The funny thing is, coming with these little boards, like I said here, these ones are not soldered on. I was buying them just for the 2 and 4 line LCDs, and it's like the cheapest way to find them was these with these adapters. So now I actually have a use for the adapters finally. Anyway, just supposed to be a short video. Don't want to go too long, but it just sucks. But I was really, you know, making some strides. You know, here's my surface mount design and my back to the dip design. This board here actually had it all laid out to go right to the low inputs, high inputs, you know, everything I was using for my motor controller. Where this board here is just I just gotta pretty much use jumpers and plug into it. Here's my IPM board I made using an IPM chip that I found, which is pretty cool. I did fry one of those once, because when I think I already told you guys, when I tried hooking up a bigger motor, one of those big motors, and I turned up before I had it limited to the maximum duty cycle, and it fried it, which makes sense. So I had 2 of these chips, so this one's still working, but I did order like a couple more of those from China, so it's going to be a couple weeks before that comes in. I ordered a bunch of more surface mount resistors too, like trying to see if I have one. Oops. Like this size, where are they at? Right here. This size surface mount resistors is perfect. These are the 1210 size. It's still surface mount, you know, and I can solder it on pretty easy. I might even be able to go one size smaller and still do pretty good. But sometimes some of the stuff, like here's capacitors, I accidentally ordered these little tiny things, and these things are like, I mean, it's like a grain of freaking salt almost. See, compared, and here's some huge resistors. These are 1210s. These I can handle, but look at the difference between that and those. I mean, if I put it on my fingertip, you'd lose it. Way too small. So this size is good. This size sucks. I ordered a whole bunch of those resistors. The first time I was ordering a bunch of surface mount, I didn't pay any attention and clicked on the wrong one. So all these are super tiny. So fuck that. My eyes are getting old, and hands not as steady. But I want to add a little more surface mount, whatnot. And I thought, and right here is supposed to be a couple 10 ohms, but I just put this on here temporarily. But I have some more on order. But this board came out pretty decent for something I just slammed together real quick. Anyway, yeah, I'm stuck. Just when I was making some headway. And that's pretty much the theme of the video. And yeah, it's too long already. So, anyway, just so I could post something as an update. Hopefully I could get this licked. Might be a little bit of a challenge. I found out some more stuff when I was doing a little more reading that using the back EMF for detection versus the Hall effect sensors on a sensor type. Let me get back to this. And I think they're kind of showing it on some of this. And this is like what a Hall effect sensor would be like. Well, I guess like this back EMF is that the relationship. It works without having sensors, but it's actually like a little bit of time before the optimum position is for it to actually detect and switch your phases. So I guess it works. It just isn't as efficient. But if you really get serious with it, you got to add, like, based on your RPMs and everything, you have to add some delay. So now you're really getting into it. It's almost like, you know, controlling timing retard, you know, in a tune for a car or something based on RPM or something. And I could do it. I have to use another timer and some more functions in the programs, but I'm going to just try it that way just to get that to work, just for some feedback, and see how that goes. These motors are running pretty good without any feedback. So I think for some stuff, as long as nothing grabbed the motor or abruptly slowed it down or made it lose sync, I think it would actually work pretty decent with some fixed programming. But I want to get the feedback going. My ultimate goal would be to run some of these small compressors, like that DC compressor sitting right there. I have a couple of them. I might be reaching a little bit, but I don't know. It'd be kind of cool. Anyway, with that, catch you guys later, man.